Hey everybody, what is going on? Hexlex here. I got another Master Duel video for you, and it's Monday, which means it's time for another one of our viewer specials. For those of you who are not in the know, if you are new to the channel, or if you've never seen one of these videos before, then every week on Monday, I like to showcase games from you all, the viewers, so we can see some strategies and or games that either I might not have time to get to, or they're just really cool overall. Doesn't matter if it's a deck I've played or not. If you're interested in sharing a cool build or a cool game that you've got, feel free to do so in our Discord server, the Hexlexplex. Link is going to be in the description below. Alright, let's not waste any more time. Let's check out some of your games. Alright, our first duel comes to us from Gara ODT, who has a build that I'm pretty interested to take a look at here. This is going to be Fiendsmith Millennium Scareclaw versus Maliss. So let's take a look at the list here. That's all the engines in there. We're playing the Scareclaw Defanging as well. It's been a long time since I've played Scareclaw. I want to make sure I have everything in this list, but I was going to say, I imagine I do. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I'm really eager to see how this one plays out. Like how we pivot from, one engine to the other here. I see we've got the Voiceless Samsara here as well. Got one of each of the names. Yeah, it's been so long since I've played a deck with Voiceless Starfrost in it. I had to take a look at this one here. Alright, and then our opponent is going to be on Maliss. Alright, and then let's see what we have here. Looks like we're going to be taking the first turn, so we're going to get to see how the turn one plays out. Alright, let's see what we've got. Alright, so we got Fabled Blurry, a couple of Scareclaw monsters, and the Samsara as well. We're going to lead with normal summon Voiceless Samsara, and then that's going to let us link into the Lightheart, which will pretty much get us into our full Scareclaw engine by adding the field spell, except they have an imperm, so not quite. So it looks like we're going to special summon the Astra, because remember, it doesn't summon to zones that a Scareclaw monster points to, it just summons to zones adjacent. And then we can pivot into Moon of the Closed Heaven. This is honestly, I think, my favorite part about playing Fiendsmith decks, is when your opponent's got these, like, hand traps, right? And normally, if you were playing, like, just about any other deck, it'd be a turn ender for you. But as long as you've got at least two bodies, you can always link off into the Moon, and then you are good to go. Very nice Royal Requiem, by the way. I tried to craft one at one point, but gave up because it was taking too long. Oh, and the sequence too? Very nice. Well, it's not that it was taking too long, it was taking too many materials. You know what I mean. Anyway, we're going to go for Fiendsmith's Lacrima. Lacrima for the Engraver. And then, it's like we're turning it all into an Appaloosa. No, we're turning it all into Tryhard. Yeah, because Tryhard doesn't actually need a Scareclaw monster. I always forget this. It's just 3 effect monsters. So that definitely makes sense why we're playing both Millennium and Fiendsmith. And then we can still just do Scareclaw combo lines after the fact anyway. That's awesome. Yeah, Defanging will basically turn our Tryhard into a Towers here. It stops them from targeting or destroying it with card effects, as well as having some other fun bonus effects here as well. Banishing stuff it battles with, banishing Scareclaw Link monsters to destroy cards as well. Alright, looks like they led with a Lure for Chessie Cat. We're going to throw out a Droll and Lockbird here. One of the rare moments where Droll is actually going to be hugely impactful against Maliss, because not only do they not get the Chessie Cat F, but now they can't do the Red Ransom either. Also, huh? The call by after the fact is quite interesting. Okay, sure. Wait, was that after the fact, or was that on the same chain link? Effect resolution, apply effect, activate. That was on a separate chain link, right? Unless I am mistaken there. Now, did they do the, no, activate. Okay, yeah, so they didn't get the draws. Okay, that's what I thought. That confused me for a second. That really tripped me up. I've never really seen somebody misplay like that before. Okay, anyway. Yeah, that Droll actually did have some impact, though. Splash Mage revives the March here. Looks like they're going to go for a Red Ransom, which they can't search off of. Oh, poor opponent. They're trying. Barshare switches to defense mode. Yeah, unfortunately, Link monsters, of course, will not be swapped to defense mode by the tryhard, so that is a bit of a weakness the deck has. But at the same time, we've got the defanging, which means our stuff can't be destroyed, and our opponent seems, like, determined to not read our card. It's not a matter of them, like, simply, I don't know, maybe they'll... There we go, I was gonna say, maybe this time they'll go for the continuous spell. Alright, Dormouse banishes White Rabbit. White Rabbit gets to set. Remember, tryhard is not quite as broken as Baguska. They can still use the effects of stuff turned to defense mode. They just can't... it's just unaffected by stuff in defense mode. Also, that really threw me off. I was like, why? We're linking off access code? Question mark? Okay. I mean, to be fair, I don't think they'd be able to OTK even with the access code anyway, because they've already used the banishes, the banish off Cryptor plus the banish to destroy off of the access code. And then, yeah, we still have the Scareclaw cast Shira in hand as well. So I think we wouldn't have gotten OTK'd even if they hadn't linked off access code. That was just, I don't know. I feel like some people really are out here clicking yellow buttons sometimes, but Maliss can still be a scary deck even if they're clicking yellow buttons. Simply for how good everything is. Looks like they're going to use MTP to add March Hare here, which they could potentially use to get their Maliss engine all set up. They didn't make White Binder though, but they can still summon Heart Scriptor. Looks like they will still have it banished on our turn. Also, yeah, they did not use the Firewall Dragon, but it's not co-linked, so they can't use it anyway. So we do still have a banish to contend with. Actually, no, we don't, because their banished card is actually Splash Mage, not a Maliss monster. That means that Heart Scriptor can't use this effect here. Alright, here's the Vicious Astrolaud. Able to pop the Heart Scriptor. Finally able to resolve the field spell here. Gonna activate that and then pop their defense mode monster. That's fun. As well as reduce the attack of all their stuff. Summoning out another Tryhard, which of course can attack multiple times depending on... Oh, no. It's one of the Scareclaw monsters that lets you do that, right? Yeah, that's not Tryhard's effect. And then, of course, Scarecash can also attack while in defense mode. Yeah, not that we needed multiple attacks here because our opponent wasn't even at 8k, something I'm very, very prone to overlooking. But, alright, there we go. There's our first duel there. Always nice to come back to Scareclaw. I have not played this deck in way too long, or any Vices deck for that matter. I don't want to go back and try them out now. But, yeah. Let's go ahead and take a look at our next game. Thank you for that replay, by the way, Gara. Let's take a look at our next game here. Alright, next game comes to us from Super Dark Aqua, who has a game playing, actually a ton of games playing Mitsurugi Orcust. Can't blame them at all. It's a very, very fun deck. I've been enjoying it quite a bit myself. Actually a lot of good replays to pick from here as I was looking through the submissions, but you know what, let's watch this pretty back and forth one actually against Voiceless Ryuge here. So yeah, that's what the opponent's on, and then of course we'll take a look at our deck list here. Yeah, looks like a very solid, pretty standard looking Mitsurugi Orcust list. Alright, let's go ahead and dive right onto this game. Yeah, I was going to show that Maliss duel because I know we play through a few hand traps, which I always think is nice to see, but I also wanted to have like a really back and forth game here, so let's take a look at this. Plus it's a going second game, those are always fun, right? We open the Impulse, okay. And then a bunch of pretty good starters here. Alright, looks like they're going to lead with Diviner for the Trios. We're going to Impulse the Diviner F. Definitely makes sense. Let's see what else they open with, though. The Barrier. So it looks like they can search the Saphira. Yeah, searching low, they just use their normal summons. That wouldn't do anything here. Saphira send the ritual spell. Add Skull Guardian. Now the question is, did they open with a low anyway? No, okay, they're going to tribute the Trios in order to summon out the Skull Guardian. But Skull Guardian just searches low. It searches, but does it summon it right? Yeah, it adds a Voiceless card, okay. Ah, no, rather it adds a Light Dragon ritual monster, which is going to be the Ryuge as well. So looks like they were using Voiceless in this case in order to set up their Ryuge engine. Pretty smart, especially in a hand like theirs where, you know, they're not able to get access to low here. Although they would have if we didn't have that impulse. Alright, so then they can special summon up to 3, 1 from each hand, graveyard, and banishment? Yeah, okay. Going for the Varadras here, which will add an Omni Negate to their end board even if the Voiceless Skull Guardian isn't online. And they have the Dino Realm, which what does this one do? Let's return when the effect of a monster less attack when this card is activated. You can place a... Oh, place it and then negate the activation. I see. Okay. Alright, looks like we are leading off with the Prayers, which is going to trigger the Aramasa and Saji searches. Going for the Ritual here. Our opponent's going to chain Varadras in order to negate. And then also destroy our Aramasa as well. Okay, that seems relatively fine. We can use Habakiri for the Kusanagi here. Kusanagi is going to recycle the Ritual back to our hand. And then we're activating it again. And we're going to summon it from the deck. Yeah, we have to summon out a Habakiri from deck because we have the Murakumo in hand here. Habakiri F gets to activate. We're going to add another copy of Prayers. Going to normal summon our Heart Pourer and then link it off with that Habakiri we summoned in order to make the Nightmare Phoenix. Now, normally Nightmare Phoenix just used to pivot into Mermaid and then Orcust lines, but here it is actually going to matter. We're going to use the Nightmare Phoenix to basically force the Dino Domains effect to negate and get that out of the way. So we no longer have to worry about the Dino Domains negate. We don't have to worry about the Varadras negate. It's just a matter of this back row as well as the 2 cards in hand potentially being disrupts here. Does the field spell have some sort of like continuous or quick effect as well? I'm trying to remember. No, okay. Alright, Galatea for the Babel. Gonna link these 2 off now for link 2 Galatea, I imagine. Yeah, Orcust is a scary deck because, I mean, it looks like we don't really have much here because we have no cards in hand, but this is truly one of those decks where your graveyard is your... I wouldn't even call it your second hand. It's pretty much your main hand. But it looks like one of those face-down cards did end up being Super Poly, or that one face-down card, rather, ended up being Super Poly. And then they discarded... yeah, Quick Play Spell, okay. But we can still summon Girsu here, put a token on each field because it's the only card on our field, or the only monster, rather. We can use the Wand to summon Heart Pourer. And then dumping Symbol Skeleton with the Orcust Nightmare. Symbol Skeleton revives Galatea. We can activate Galatea's effect, putting back the World Wand in order to set Orcust Crescendo. Now we're going to overlay the Dean Girsu on top of Link 2 Galatea. And we're going to use the Send effect on the Barrier. That makes sense, because that way they don't get to just go into more Voiceless plays on their next turn. Girsu, does that send one linked monster? Okay, I was like, there's no way it sends all linked monsters, right? That would be insane if true. No, we're just going to send off the Varadras there, and then we get to go into the Enlil Girsu. Now we can activate Enlil Girsu, putting back our Symbol Skeleton, and we're going to take their big Ryuge monster, battling over their Skull Guardian and the token. We're leaving them with just Garura, the field spell, and 1 card in hand. And we have the Orcust Crescendo in order to counter with, as well as we have the setup to summon Ding from our graveyard as well. Yeah, because we have Heart Pourer to summon Girsu to dump Symbol Skeleton. We're going to Crescendo the Diviner here. Then we're going to go for the Heart Pourer F, and they're going to chain Max C. Ooh, that's pretty brutal, actually. Definitely did not want to see that here. Heart Pourer summons Girsu. Girsu dumps Symbol Skeleton. Because now, even if we do use Ding, we just give them another draw and potentially get them into more extension. And we're going to get a draw off this Garura as well. Going into the Little Knight F, going to banish their own Ryuge monster, which makes sense because then the field spell could summon it from banishment. Actually, there's a decent shot they'll summon 3 here if they have 1 in hand. Oh, no, it's from deck, not from hand. It's even more broken than I thought. So they definitely summon 3 there, yeah. We have the other penned monster as well. We're going to chain the Inlil Girsu F. This time putting back Harpor. And then now we get to take their... Anva? Anya? Is that a V or an A? Anva with a V, okay. Taking their Anva, which they're going to pop, and then set up the Worm Winds. Yeah, this is the one that's basically D-Fissure, right? Yeah, pretty brutal. But thankfully we already have a ton of stuff in our graveyard, so we don't have to worry about setting up our graveyard here. And then we can even add it back with the Babble. Look at that. Yeah, thankfully their continuous spell only affects stuff that is going from the field to the graveyard, not the hand. So I actually don't think I've ever activated that effect of Babble. That's kind of wild. I totally spaced on that. Okay, they're going to call by the Ding as we go to use Symbol Skeleton's effect, which is pretty unfortunate for us. We can still use our Galatea Eye here in order to revive, and then we go for the Harpor to summon another Girsu from deck. Girsu gets to send Orcust Nightmare, which can then banish in order to send Wonder Wand, and then we can use the Wonder Wand F in order to revive the Inlil Girsu. Inlil Girsu gets to put back Harpor, and then we can simply take their Ryuge monster again, battling over their Little Knight, as well as smacking them for not quite lethal, but quite a bit of damage. I wonder if we could have / should have linked off our Galatea I plus token. Maybe not. Yeah, that field spell is wild. It lets them... God, it lets them get so much on board so easily. Alright, looks like we're going for the IP effect here. Going for our own SP Little Knight. Going for the Little Knight F. Getting rid of their Kaiva. Groudon. It's basically Groudon. Going for the Inlil Girsu effect during the battle phase to take control of the monster that is currently declaring an attack. That's particularly devious. Yeah, at this point they're only left at 450 life points. I don't really think there's much they can do in this situation in order to be able to come back. Plus, I think we still have, yeah, we get plenty of banished Orcust monsters to use with Inlil Girsu. The call-by on the long Girsu is really cute. Who? That's not me. Who are you talking about? Now we're gonna take their last dude and then just battle over them. Wow, that was a pretty insane duel. Like, Ryuge was able to put out a pretty impressive grind game, but at the end of the day, Orcust just had more stuff. Alright, good stuff. Thank you, Aqua, for that game. We have time for one more. Let's go into that last one here. Okay, our final replay comes to us from Ekudo, who's got a game from the Dice Rally, where it looks like they are going to be on Ghoti, or no, this is Blackwing. Sorry, that is the wrong duel. This one here. There we go. Yes, okay, we're going to be on Ghoti, and then our opponent is going to be on Dragon, which I didn't even consider for the Dice Rally event, but I guess is at least mostly legal. Alright, let's go ahead and take a look here. Yeah, from what I understand, this duel in particular is going to show us the maximum power, in a sense, of what Ghoti is capable of. You'll see, you'll see. Alright, we're taking the first turn, and our opponent is leading with a Big Eye, and we've got Quarantine. Let's return during the end phase. You can target a set spell or trap card your opponent controls, reveal it, and then return it to the original position. Interesting. Oh, and of course, as always, we get to, well, not as always, but for the Dice Rally, we get to hear the exclusive music here as well. It's not bad. I like it quite a bit. Alright, we're doing hashtag just Ghoti things here. Ghoti's one of those decks that I've, seen played on the channel from folks a few times now. But it's like, I know that the tuners summon themselves from Banish, and that's about it. They do it during the opponent's standby phase. I know you combo during your opponent's turn, but as far as, like, what each of the individual Ghoti monsters does, like, I only have very vague recollections. Anyway, our opponent's going to search for a Dragon Ravine here using the Dragunity Remus, sending off the Absorouter in order to search up the Rocket Tracer, which is Pretty good for them here to have the big eye just as an extra body to potentially pop with the Rocket Tracer. But first they're going to go Light Pulsar into Spirit with Eyes of Blue. That's not standard for Dragon Link, is it? I have no idea, actually. It's been a very long time since I've played Dragon Link. Alright, they're getting Mausoleum of White. Specialing that Collapse Serpent. Looks like we're going to go for our first Synchro Summon here. Going to be the White Aura Whale. White Aura Whale can pop all attack position monsters. I remember this one, because I've been hit with this before. And there they go. Alright, now of course we also get to search and banish as well. Collapse Serpent's going to activate, searching up another Wyver Burster. Then they're going to go for Magician's Souls. Special summon to get another body on board. Dumping that Mausoleum and Dragon Ravine to get a couple of draws here. Following up with Quick Launch for Recharger. Have they used their normal summon? I don't think they have. They have not, and they still have that Rocket Tracer in hand as well. Alright, here is Boot Sector Launch. Yep, normal summon Rocket Tracer. And here is our next Synchro Summon, the Sheath. And that is going to allow us to summon out Ghoti of the Deep Beyond. Now that'll banish all cards in play. They're going to chain a Rocket Tracer, which is not going to do a lot because we're still just going to banish, yeah, whatever they summon. Now we can trigger some of our Ghoti effects as they get banished, reviving the 6. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that one. Banishing Keith there. Going for the field spell. We get to then summon our Snapius. Banishing Zap. Zap gets to summon regardless of what, you know, phase it is on the opponent's turn. So we can go for that right away. Then we're going to sink into another level 8. And this one is going to be Oscan, which I know this one pops, right? Yeah, or banishes, rather. Gonna banish their Rocket Recharger, just trying to keep bodies off their board so they can't keep linking and or synchroing. Oscan effect activates, banishing Zep in order to special. Looks like they're gonna try to go for a Hail Mary Allure, banishing the Vision Resonator, but not having any more follow-up as we're then going into our next turn here. Ghoti of the Deep Beyond is going to revive. Already at 8k attack points. And then we also get to revive our tuners as well. Yeah, they don't just summon during the opponent's standby phase, but if you're comboing on turn 1, you know, you kind of in a way don't get access to your tuners until your opponent's standby phase, which is when you can really start comboing off. Alright, we're going to start using this Shenging to pick apart their back rows here. I think that was Red Eye Spirit. Yeah, it was the trap card there. Going for Oscan to get rid of their other back row, which ends up being the Max Metalmorph. And at this point, we're going to do just a little bit of styling as we're going to see just how strong we can get this Ghoti of the Deep Beyond. Yeah, we could finish our opponent off, but what's the fun in that, right? And it's always nice to have an opponent who's willing to let us oblige, or at the very least has walked away from their computer. Yeah, here's the Dugaris, which is going to double to 19,000 attack points. Swing in for lethal there. That was some good stuff. Thank you, Ekudo, for your submission. Thanks to everybody who submitted for this week. And for the viewer special. As always, we couldn't do this series without your submissions. So thank you very much. But that's going to do it for now. Why don't we go ahead and move on to our outro. Hey everybody, Hexlex here. Thank you so very much for watching all the way to the very end of the video, which by the way is one of the best ways to support the channel. Speaking of supporting the channel, take a look at the names on screen. These are folks who have been so generous as to either join as a YouTube member or subscribe over on patreon.com/Hexlex to support. There's also perks for doing so. If you would like to see YouTube videos early, as well as some exclusive videos that get uploaded to YouTube, but for one reason or another I decide not to publish, definitely go ahead and hit that join button to see content early, as well as some exclusive content. If you're looking for more exclusive content, over on patreon.com, I upload exclusive videos that are not posted on YouTube just about every single day. Whether you choose to subscribe over on Patreon, join as a YouTube member, or simply continue to watch, your support is greatly appreciated. Thank you so very much. But for now, this is Hexlex. I am signing out, and I hope that you have a fantastic day.